Hello and welcome to the Free Cheese episode 617. I'm your Joe Dix, joined by Matt Zellner.
Hello.
The Free Cheese is a weekly video game podcast about video games brought to you once a week by thefreecheese.com. This week's episode, we're returning to the list to rank Superman, the new Superman Adventures for the Nintendo 64. Before we dive in, Matt, who's your favorite superhero?
Batman?
Correct answer. Congratulations. What was your first exposure to Superman? Do you remember as a character?
Oh, it's got to be some kind of early modern cartoons because I remember the whole it's a bird, it's a plane kind of intro sequence.
Oh, sure.
Anything specific about those cartoons? No idea, but that intro sequence is like ingrained into my brain.
How do you follow Superman through the years? Do you care? Do you not care? Do you like the character? Do you want the character to succeed?
I saw the Superman that has what's his face as Lex Luthor.
You saw the Superman Returns, the Brandon Routh one?
Yes.
Yeah,
I've never seen that one in
classic.
theaters, and I think I saw it at an age where I didn't realize it. Like I thought it was fine. Like I was entertained throughout the movie.
Yeah.
And then later on in life, I realized, I've been told that it's a bad movie. I haven't seen it since because I've been told it's a bad movie. So here's the next part of your question. Superman, like not my favorite. Like I was intrigued to see. Like I did grow up in that Smallville era. I did not watch it. Did not care. No. I was excited for Christopher Nolan is executive producing a new Superman movie fresh off the Dark Knight trilogy. This could be interesting. I don't think I see that in theaters. I think I end up seeing it like on HBO or something like that. And I was like, I was bored most of it.
Oh, no, that's right. Because didn't I give you the DVD ahead of something coming out?
Yeah, Justice League, the Snyder Cut.
Was that the first time you watched Man of Steel, or did you see?
No, I saw Man of Steel beforehand.
Oh,
no,
okay.
no. Yeah, I just remember not seeing it.
No, yeah, the refresh.
I
remember seeing it in theaters, and I did not like it at all. And it wasn't until probably maybe after Justice League came out, and I went back and watched it, and I was like, that movie was good. It was not bad. I think we just needed to pull down you know what I mean? I think like fresh out of like the Dark Knight stuff, and then into that, it was sort of just like
I was really bored most of it.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't disagree with that. It was a weird one.
But yeah, no, like I've been loosely following Superman because, of course, I mean, I see Batman v Superman. I've seen both cuts of the Justice League movie.
Yeah. It turned out the ambition of that was good. And I feel like some of the stuff they'd planned with the original cut of that to actually bring in Darkseid and whatnot would have been cool had they been able to actualize it. But, you know, we're now in a new era, the new James Gunn era. Where are you at on the new, which is, of course, why we're recording an episode about Superman, the new Superman Adventures, one of the few Superman video games out there, and the first one that'll join our list. But yeah, the new movie's coming out on July 11th. Where are you at?
I'll see. Release day, release weekend.
Are you hopeful? Because you've tanked on the.
I'm so done with superheroes, unless it begins with the bad and ends with the man.
And yeah,
I don't know. We'll see. The trailer, what was it? The Christmas football games where I finally was forced to watch. Well, I guess not forced, but it happened to be in front of me, and I was like, oh well, I can't escape it now.
Yeah,
It did intrigue me, and then I ended up seeing actual legit trailer 2 around when it came out, and again intrigued me. I'm hopeful. I'm more hopeful for like DC as a whole. You know, if I have to be the one that's the pessimist and I had to play catch up of 3 movies before a good fourth one, I can do that.
sure.
Um, but like, yeah, I'm just cautiously optimistic for everyone.
I yeah, because even as good as it might be, like the fatigue is real, and a lot of these things have been sort of franchised to death. Um, we'll see. I'm hopeful. I've never really liked Superman as a character. It just I always gravitated towards Batman from the moment I saw like Batman Returns in the animated series and stuff. So I never really cared for the character, and it wasn't until I still don't really care about the character. Like I think I think like the idea of Superman is cool, and like I'm more I think primarily like I've read more Justice League stuff where he's in it versus just Superman stuff solo. That said, there's a few exceptions where I think comics have done. I've been intrigued by it. I think probably the most I don't know tangible thing I've read that I liked was Grant Morrison's take on Superman, both in All Star Superman but also in Action Comics from New 52 reboot. I thought the stuff done there was really really well done. I don't know. Mark Waid's done some cool Superman stuff through the years. And right now, the one that's intrigued me the most, I think, is a guy named Dan Slott, who most people, if you've read comics, would be familiar with Dan from like 15 years of being the Spider-Man guy. Like, essentially anything you've heard of Spider-Man since like 2005 in terms of major events has was Dan Slott. Like, Spider-Verse all started because Dan Slott worked on it. Superior Spider-Man. Did you ever catch wind of that story where Doc Ock swaps brains with Peter and
No.
takes over? It's a okay. Sidebar. Then I'm gonna sell you and the audience on this book if you haven't read it. So it's at the end of Spider-Man 700. It's like it's like a double-sized issue or whatever to celebrate the anniversary. And the core story is that Doc Ock is dying and he's built this machine that can transfer consciousness. Peter knows it, but still puts this helmet on. And Doc Ock, just before the moment of death, swaps bodies with Peter. So he's in Peter's body, Peter's in his, and dies. Then they launch Superior Spider Man. They only plan to do it for like, I don't know, 2 years maybe or something, or a year, because it's just before The Amazing Spider Man 2 comes out, the movie. So obviously, you got to have Peter back in the suit before you put a
Right.
movie up and try and sell tickets to it. Um, But it's a really interesting thing because as soon as he gets in there, he's just like, okay, I'm Peter Parker. Now I know who he is. And okay, what do I do now? And he's just like, he's smart. Why did he never get his doctorate? So he goes and gets Peter his doctorate. And he's like, he does all these like little things as Peter where he's just like, man, he's so smart, but he's such an idiot. Like, why is he not doing this? And he just sort of like fixes Peter's life and all the stuff that you kind of know Peter Parker to be, like clumsy in this. And it's kind of like just a reverse of that uh in ways. It's really, really interesting. It was one of those things where like when you get to the point where you're like, they're gonna put him back, aren't they? You kind of don't want him to, but obviously you have to for the status quo. Anyway, that was a really fun book, separate from Superman. Um, but anyway, Dan Slott, the guy who wrote that and wrote a ton of Spider-Man stuff over the years, his Marvel exclusivity ran out, and they announced in January that he's working on a Superman book, and it's out now. I think the first 2 issues are out. I already forgot the name of it. It's Superman like Unlimited or Superman. It's not Unchained. That was the Superman Unlimited is right. Um, it's good. It's really good. I think people should read it. Um, they mess with kryptonite stuff. There's like a weird thing where Clark has like a new weird ultra immunity to it. Meanwhile, everybody else all the other super people have like obviously a crazy weakness to it, but like they're actually getting like extra messed up from kryptonite. And there's like a whole kryptonite repository in Brazil, I think, somewhere in South America. So people can like sell it as a new, like the whole global economy shifts in a matter of months and all of that stuff. People are selling weapons and stuff made out of kryptonite, so that yeah, it's cool. But like when Superman wakes up after this whole thing, Supergirl and Superboy are in the hospital with like broken arms and black eyes because they're just like beat up by random people with kryptonite stuff. It's fun. Unlike Superman, the new Superman Adventures, developed by Titus and published by Titus, released for the Nintendo 64 on May 29th, 1999. The back of the box reads as follows: Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen have disappeared. They've been kidnapped by the malevolent powers of Lex Luthor and Brainiac, who have brought them into a virtual reality version of Metropolis. Superman must come to the rescue. The Man of Steel must work through this virtual dimension and find a way to conquer the evil masterminds that created it. Explore the incredible powers of Superman firsthand as you battle to rescue Lois Lane from the clutches of Metallo, then attempt to free Jimmy Olsen from the steel grip of Darkseid. Race into outer space to face Brainiac's evil alien technology. Above all else, destroy Luthor's deadly dream of a virtual reality metropolis. You control the powers. You are Superman. And then here's our bullet list. Ready? All the superpowers: flight, heat vision, freezing breath, super strength, and X ray vision. Pick up and use any objects as a weapon. Battle on land, underwater, and in the sky against Metallo, the Parasite, Darkseid, and Lex Luthor's minions as you attempt to save Metropolis from doom. 14 alternating indoor-outdoor levels, up to 4 players simultaneously, two, two multiplayer modes. Also, there's an exclusive collector's edition Superman comic book inside. This game sold incredibly well. Did you know that?
Yes, I did know that.
Like 500,000 copies. Um, because word didn't get around like it used to. Or
No.
yeah, it didn't used to get around like it does today. Um, this was a last minute add for us to the list this year. You're welcome. But we were looking at some holes in the schedule, and I realized that movie's coming out. You made the mistake of telling me a couple months back you were like maybe excited about it, so I thought I'd ruin that excitement a little bit with Superman, which I guess we'll, collectively or whatever call Superman 64 as it is more commonly known.
When I first
Um,
started looking for the game,
yeah,
I did not realize the subtitle it had.
neither did I. No,
Because
I was
I've
like
always heard of this game referred to as Superman 64. And
Superman
and to be
64.
fair, and 64 games, so many of them have the 64 nomenclature at the end. So I just thought it was just another one of those.
No, for sure. And so what's interesting about this, did you look into the development of this at all?
I forgot to rewatch it beforehand, uh, as I discussed with you about our recording schedule today.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But I have seen the what happened YouTube video series
Oh,
on,
yeah.
on
So
this, and I don't remember a
then you
lot
should
of it. But
be.
if as you say it, I bet you it's gonna start ringing bells.
The short version is this company, Titus, got wind that Warner Brothers was going to be launching a Superman animated series. And of course, we know that that happened because it followed the Batman stuff and later led to the Justice League stuff. So Titus reached out to Warner Brothers and said, "Hey, we want to get the license for Superman to make a game." And apparently, the people at Warner Brothers asked the one of the Eric Kahn, I think his name was. Um, they asked him like, "Are you sure? You sure you want to do that?" Because apparently no one was really interested in Superman as a property, so they were kind of surprised that he would and Titus would be interested in making that game anyway. Um, so they they kind of the quote he says is they asked me 3 times if I was sure I wanted to do that. He picks up the license, and the deal they sign is a contract for 3 games: a Game Boy game, a Nintendo 64 game, and a PlayStation 1 game. Um, the Game Boy game came out. It's nothing spectacular, but it's like a little Game Boy side-scrolling Superman game. As they're making the N64 game, or I guess even before they made the Game Boy game, the licensing team that worked with him to grant the license to make this game, they were all fired by Warner Brothers heads. The reshuffling organization.
Sounds familiar.
Right. Yeah, nothing new here. So they were all let go. And in the wake of that, a new team comes in with licensing, and they're not happy with Titus. They felt like Superman should have been in the hands of EA or another big publisher who could have done more with the character. So, according to the folks at Titus, every step of the way of developing the N64 title, Warner Brothers pushed back with a lot of roadblocks. Um, it was basically every time they brought something up, they were met with some sort of like, no, you can't do that, or something to that effect. The example cited specifically was they knew they wanted sections where Superman was going to fly underwater, and Warner Brothers was like, you can't do that. Superman doesn't fly underwater. He doesn't go into the water. So they had to like physically get an issue, it was like Superman 157 or something, and open up a panel and be like, no, Warner Brothers, he does, and here it is, before they said they could. But it was a lot of stuff like that. Apparently they had to approve every villain they chose, all of that. um a lot of things. That's why we end up in the virtual world in this game, because they did not want Superman destroying any of the environments like they were, because he was supposed to be able to like destroy buildings as he flew around, and Warner Brothers didn't want that. They didn't want him to be able to accidentally beat up citizens or do anything that seemed un-Superman like. You couple that with the fact that Titus is a French developer, where there's a 9-hour time gap between France and California, so communication's already tough with the relationship, and then it just gets tougher with time difference. This game gets delayed. We never see the PlayStation version because Titus had subcontracted that to Blue Sky Software, who they had acquired. Blue Sky had made Vector Man, among other things. And Blue Sky is working on it. The prototype's out there. You can play the prototype of the PlayStation 1 game. It seems like they maybe might have done it. I don't know. I haven't tried it myself, but like, I don't know. From what I've seen screenshots or video of, like, it looks better than the 64 game. I don't know if it actually plays better, but it looks a little better. Um, but essentially, what happened with that is the delay in the 64 game pushed, obviously, like the push time forward, and they only had a specific window where they were able to license the Superman rights. So as Blue Sky was wrapping up the development on the PlayStation version, they had to renew the rights Titus did with Warner Brothers, and at that point Warner Brothers said, "Nope, done." And they killed the project, and that was it. Um yeah, this did come out, sold like 500,000 copies initially, because it had Superman on the box, and the box, like the front of it, it looks like
The animated series.
what, yeah, kids are seeing on the TV.
Very.
The You look at the box art on the back of it, and it's like Superman's got his laser vision, he's got his ice breath, he's flying, he's fighting giant robots, and he's throwing forklifts. So you're like, this seems like a game I'd want to play if I like Superman. There's not a ring in sight on the box. But yeah, there's a lot more you can dive into with the developers talking a bit more about their ambitions for the game, what they were going to do. That obviously this was not the game they designed or wanted to make. They wanted to have more of an open metropolis. Um, Things that were difficult to do on the Nintendo 64, but that even if they were achievable for this team, they just didn't have the time or the resources to do it. And here we are playing it. First thoughts: you jump in, you're taking control of Superman. What's what's your reaction to the game?
Well, I guess I should set the table properly. I knew how notorious
Sure.
this game is. I went in with the lowest of low expectations, and I jumped into the is it practice tutorial? Is it
Yeah, that's not.
tutorial?
Yeah.
Whatever it says on the main menu, and I started playing through it because I know the controls can be tough. So I was just trying to get the lay of the land. And honestly, like it was okay. It was fine. It like nothing spectacular, obviously, and you quickly learn Superman moves like dirt. Like it's so bad.
Yeah.
Um, but it was
On
fine.
ground, you mean?
Yeah, yes, yeah. He's like a walking
Yeah.
tank. Without a
Yeah.
run button.
Yeah.
Um, so like it's fine. Launch the game. I already know what the first level is. Again, it's notorious. So
Yeah.
when it says go and there are the rings, I know exactly what to do. Start going through the rings, and honestly, like I'm having an okay time. I'm just going through the rings, like it's fine. I'm flying, and then you get your first hitch. It's like,
Mm.
oh, right. I forgot about the slowdown on this game.
Yeah,
And then you
dude.
get your first like blind angle, and it's like, oh fuck, right? That's another one. And then you get through the rings, and then it's like I forget what the first task is because there's so many of them. But that first one, it's like beat
The
up the
first one, like the
enemies.
first mission when you land on the ground.
No, like the first, you're done the rings. Now do this. Now do
I
this. Is it just
Yeah,
beat
yeah,
up
yeah.
enemies?
I think the first one is the cars. Pick
Okay,
them up and throw them before they run over pedestrians.
that's okay. Great. Do that.
But the field that you're on looks like Super Strike Eagle or something. Like
Oh,
it's
it's
not. It
terrible.
doesn't look like a Metropolis cityscape.
Yes, it's quite terrible. Um, yeah, well, I'm sure we'll lean into that. So then, I'm doing that. And it's like this sucks, but it's all right. And then the rings come up, and it's like, oh fuck. Do the rings, the hitching, the blind angles, and by the end of the first level, after you do the rings like 4 times,
Yeah.
you're kind of like, oh, I'm in the building. This is nice. And then the level design and the building is confusing as all hell, and I'm quickly losing my appetite for this game.
So
And that's like
back
the
up a
first
little
hour.
bit. Yeah, no, you're right. The As soon as you get into the building and you're like, okay, here I am. Like by that point, you're like, okay, great. It's not just rings, dumb thing. There's something here, but what's there? Like my first note I wrote down in the game is like, I cannot believe that the rings are the good part of this game. Like being in that building, I yearned to get back out and fly through rings. I was eager to do that. I want to back up because there's two major I don't know what's missions, I guess, if you will, that occur between the first flight section and that first like I'm inside of a building, I have to go do this.
Let's call them events.
Okay, I'm good with events. So the first event, like Matt said, is you stop the car from hitting the people, throw it away. The second event you have is there's a runway essentially, and there's guys with rocket launchers all the way down the runway, and there's a car that is driving down it, and you have like a what 10-20 second timer or something to pick up the car and get it to safety, but you don't really have 20 seconds. You have like a second and a half from the time that screen loads to the moment that a rocket will actually hit it and destroy it, and then you're not just back to start the mission again, you're back to fly through the rings again so that you can unlock the opportunity to do the event again. I, I feel like everything I did in this game, when it came to interacting with things that weren't just flying through rings, was just awful. And like in the sense that, when a game's bad and it just feels bad to play. Like you're hitting the button you're supposed to hit, but I don't know, you're like, oh, that's weird, or but like eventually you kind of get used to it and you're like, okay, like this game's not good, but I know if I just delay my timing by like a third of a second from what I think it should be, or if I Superman does not have that at all. Like Superman is perpetually challenging your expectations of like what you think the game should be. Like whenever I thought like, oh, you can just fly into the car and he'll pick it up automatically, he didn't. If I thought, well, I should get close to it, get on the ground, and then hit A to pick it up, he didn't. Like sometimes he did, sometimes he didn't.
What
Like there's
you got on the ground successfully the first time you pressed the button? You sure about
no,
that?
no, 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 not at all. Because like you hit the it's Z to land, right? So B's like while you're in the air, B gets you into like actual flight mode. Z's what grounds you or makes you lift off. And yeah, you
You
I,
like
he just
hover. You like he's stuck. It's like an
he won't. And
animation
like
doesn't exist, and then you hit it a second
you,
time, he'll ground himself.
but like you'd think if you just hit like Z twice, he would do it. But like it's not even. You have to like really. You have to wait for him to be stuck, and then like there's no consistency with it at all. Like I think that's the problem. Is like when a game's bad, at least if you can like adjust to how bad it is, it makes it less bad and less frustrating. This is just like
Yeah, Stockholm
I might
syndrome
as well.
never even takes place here. The opportunity is
No,
not allowed.
never at all. The next mission that drove me nuts, I'm sorry, event that drove me nuts was the tornadoes. So this one, you might be surprised to learn, you fly through some rings, and at the very end of the rings, there's a little icon with,
Frost breath.
yeah, you pick that up. And what's weird is, like, if you hit, I forget what frost breath is on the C
I
stick
think it's
or the C
up. I think
buttons.
it's up. I think it's up.
So let's say you hit up just normally. You'll see the frost breath appear and you'll see the meter there that looks full to me, but nothing happens. You pick up the frost breath icon and suddenly you've got frost breath you can use. Um, the way the game tells you to do things, it's just like a little black banner with white text that's just like, and what does it say for the tornadoes? I don't remember
It
what it
might say
says.
like
Just like,
blow away tornadoes. It literally might
sure.
just say that.
It's something as simple as that. So you grab the frost breath and you fly up. Basically, you're in this like cul-de-sac of a river, or like you're in a bay, I guess. It's like
Yeah.
sort of like there's like an open bay and there's like this little walkway where pedestrians are walking around, and in the center of that kind of like alcove, there's three tornadoes in a cluster, and they're slowly edging out toward the sidewalk where the people are. So if you wait too long, they'll grab them, take them off, and Lex wins. Um, but like, how many times did you have to do that mission before you got tornadoes to disperse effectively?
I don't know,
Because I
cause the
think
hitbox
it
on
was
the
like 10.
could be. Because here's the other problem. I was gonna wait to get here. The game repeats itself. Like it's
Oh yeah,
like so. Like I think I know what tornadoes you're talking about, but I might be confused with the 1-2 levels from now.
right. Yeah, because there's not much more. You're either fighting also the like main enemies. Like I think the back of the box called them
Shadows, I
Lex
think.
Luthor's minions, but yeah, they're shadows in this, and they're just like they look like an old like Dick Tracy comic, but like completely blacked out, like a
Yeah,
full silhouette of a person.
is that like a is that art exclusive to the game or is that a
I've never seen them
Superman
before.
animated?
Like
Because
I,
okay, all right, all right. Well, we've said 5 negative things already. Let me start with one thing. I like don't they don't like look good, but I kind of hate that I can see the animated series in some of the characters, and I kind of dig it in a 3D environment.
yeah, that's fair. That's a nice thing to say about it. I don't disagree. Like I feel like Superman looks the worst of them head on.
Yeah,
I think he doesn't really look like it. But yeah, the other character models, like when you see Lois and Jimmy Olsen at the beginning, like in Lex's little portal, like they look like the Bruce Timm art from the animated
Well, I mean, I
series.
got
So
a good look
it's
at
there.
Lois as I was trying to escort her, and she wouldn't like walk. And I got a good look
Well,
at
that too.
Darkseid when I was trying to pick him up to get him to a fucking police car in the world's worst level. But
Yeah,
while
that's how it works with
while
Darkseid.
working with the game, I think you could look at the models, and they didn't look terrible.
No, they're not bad. And even the world itself, I have gameplay up that I'm like occasionally glancing at just as a reminder of like, what we were up against. Like generally, I don't think the world looks too out of place from what we get to see of the world. I think like they did a good job at trying to translate Bruce Timm's art style into 3D, especially on Nintendo 64 where, you have a much more limited scope than you would later on I think there were some games that came kind of out, not really, I guess, maybe not. Thinking of like the Terry McGinnis stuff, but maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, Dark Shadows, I don't know anything about them. Maybe they're in Superman comics and I don't, but I
No, just because again, they had like that distinct look to them. I just thought they
they're not bad,
double down on it.
but like I don't know, you've got Parasite in the game, like do like weird Parasite clones or so. I don't know. I feel like there's other ways you could do things. Um, that's kind of the loop. So you have these sort of like you have the ring missions and then something to do in Metropolis, whether it's throw a car or knock these like bomb carriers, these little like drones out of the sky, or use your ice breath on tornadoes that don't seem to go away, maybe. Um, then you have the indoor stuff where it's more of like a, I don't know, search and rescue kind of thing. Like
I guess.
you're going through, you're still fighting the shadows inside, but you're also like sometimes trying to find keys. Something. What was the one? Like I found a note. The note from well, that was the best. It's like the first, I think, indoor section you have is like a Lex Luthor building, and you can like go into office spaces, and there's like letters that Lex wrote to these villains
Oh,
and just like left on a
that is
table.
LexCorp. That is the second one.
Yeah, right. And like there was one where he like told Parasite the code to get through a door or something, or the color sequence. It was like green, yellow, red. Please keep this note in a secure place or something like that. It's like I I get it. Did we need that? Do we need anything? But yeah, you fly through, you find uh initially Lois, you find Jimmy later. I, what else did we say about the indoor missions?
I think it's important to bring up the progression in those because I don't think any of the levels are just like point A to point B. There's always some kind of backtracking, and the game's never
Yeah.
clear about where the backtracking is. And worse, some of that backtracking is on a time limit.
Out of nowhere too, because like you'll have most of the level without a timer on, or generally like the different events of that level up to that point without a timer, and then randomly like nothing happens, and then you have a timer and you've got to do the thing you've got to do, and like the stages are not designed in a way where they're like easily navigable, where you're like, oh right, this hallway leads to this hallway. um uh,
Like
did I go in the store yet? Did I not?
I
There's
think
no
the
map.
I think the a prime example of this is that first level with the dam. You get a key card, and you get it. I
Yeah,
can't remember if you go.
it's like the second room in there.
Yeah, get it. Oh, right. It's behind like boxes in like the third.
Yeah,
Like there's like the part you come out of, the part you're in when you start the level. Then like the first area you walk out to, and then there's like a second area right after that, and then left is an elevator. Um, But yeah, in that third area, there's like two suspicious boxes that are just like randomly in the corner. When you go over and you realize there's like a pickup right there, so you pick up the key card and it quickly says use this on a computer. It's like, oh, there's a giant fucking computer right to the right of me.
Yep.
Running over, hitting it. Nothing. I'm like, all right, well, there's another computer in like that next room. Maybe I just missed something. I thought they looked the same, but maybe I missed something.
Sure.
Exactly the same. Nothing's happening with this key card. I'm like, okay. Well, what the fuck do I do? And then, so instead of doing what you're actually supposed to do, I was like, well, let me go to this elevator. Maybe it's for later in the level. So you get to later in the level and you see 3 locked doors and they all have a keypad next to it. Oh, easy. Fucking swipe. I'll be right in that door. Go up to it. Nothing. Second door, nothing. Third door, nothing. And I'm really like, what the fuck? And at this point, I pull up a guide and I see I have to go back to the very, very first room I was in and put it onto the weird pixelated looking keypad there. Why?
It doesn't make any
Like,
sense.
there's no good indication. And like when you get in that room, sure, I guess it's like kind of like, all right, well, there is a keypad there. But it's like, that's not guess 1, guess 2, guess 3, probably first 5 guesses on where that key card needs to go.
Because the instruction was to use it on a computer. And there's also like, it'd be great if you left the room and there was just, they have the compass technology in the overworld when you're flying to point you to the next ring as your objective. But nothing like if you leave a room and your objective was back there to go, oh, wait, no, turn around. It was actually in there. Do that.
Yeah.
Super frustrating.
And that's like the least offensive part. And that's just part 1, level 1.
Because, yeah, like, I don't even want to say especially later on because it happens all the time, but like the building where you are, I'm thinking of the Jimmy Olsen rescue mission. But in there,
The parking garage.
there's so much parking garage. Yeah. There's so much stuttering and slow down. And like, it's like you're already doing this frustrating thing and you've got slowdown. And then, oh, wait, Bryce, there's a timer also. Hurry up. You got 60 seconds to get out of here or whatever. Super frustrating.
I think my favorite part, let me explain this mechanic. So in the indoor and the inside levels, which is again is every other level, you're progressing through an indoor building or whatever, and probably I think at least once in each of these levels there is an area where there's a kryptonite little like tower. And when you get close to it, at the very bottom, a little meter comes up, and it's almost like a distance meter. Very like if you've played Grand Theft Auto, you've seen these a number of times. And as you start walking closer, you get closer to your little Superman icon. It gets closer to the kryptonite. What you'll realize as you get closer, you probably don't realize it right away because it does tick down slowly. But once that meter comes up, your health is susceptible to be notched down. And as you get closer in that little meter, that health gets notched down quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker. So, interesting. Kryptonite, I get it. Whatever, get in and get out. Cool. It's a video game. I can get to that. However, in the parking garage, there is an area where you open the door and the kryptonite's right there. And the very frustrating part is that kryptonite is kind of like bleeding out from the door. So, like, you're already doing stuff in that area for objectives where you're already kind of getting ticked with health. If you kind of know like the radius, you can kind of like circumvent it for the most part a little bit. And the only reason I know that's because I probably had to do the mission 3 different times. But when you get in and you turn the I think there's like a panel you have to turn off. When you turn off the panel and you leave, old Jimmy Olsen's right there excited to talk to you. And guess what? He talks to you, which is all fine and dandy, except your fucking health's still ticking down because you're right next to the kryptonite thing. And Jimmy Olsen's like, hey, good job, Superman. And I'm like, get the fuck out of my way.
Can't skip it. Can't whatever.
Dude,
I'm just going to die because he wants to talk. Your pal, Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah, I'm just seeing my health tick down, tick down, tick down, tick down. I'm like, fuck. And it was already like a hard level because there's like tanks. There's the hitching. There's like 5 shadows in each room, and they all do the double the beep, beep, beep when they reload.
Yes.
And
with their little kryptonite gun.
Yep, and it's like running at 2 frames a second because, well, sorry, it starts at 2 frames a second, and then you get an additional 5 frames per second per each enemy you take out in an area, and to the point you're at the back of like 30.
Yeah. There's like we've seen this with a lot of old like NES games and Super NES games where people do these ROM hacks to like fix games. I'd be curious if someone could fix this game. I don't know that anyone cares to. I think that's
I
the thing.
no, I, and then like I don't know, this parking garage level sucks. So I'm just gonna keep bringing it up. Like that was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
finally the one that I was like, I can't. I completed it. I don't know why, but I completed it, and I got to
Because you have to.
the
You know,
fifth
like
the fifth level of rings, and I was I think I did one mission. It was another like blow away 2 tornadoes, and I was like, I
tornadoes.
can't
Yep.
do this anymore, and I turned it off, and I never
Yep.
turned it back on. Um,
It's
no, but I was gonna like the boss fights. Did you struggle with boss fights?
yeah, I struggled with the whole game.
Well, hold on,
Like,
sorry, but like, did you lose at a boss fight?
yeah, of course. Yeah, 100%.
Really? You didn't just
I
go fly right up to him and just mash A and win each time?
only because I was already like I'd had so like anytime I died in this game, it was because I had been shot so many times by things outside of my control that just like something got me by dumb luck. So like I remember dying to Darkseid because going through that whole level, I'd already like lost so much health from just nonsense
God,
that
okay.
I kind of got there and then you know what I
No,
mean?
I
Like,
definitely died to enemies just because of bullshit like that. But like the
yeah.
bosses, I never had a problem with the bosses because I would fly into them and then just mash A.
If you like, yeah, if you can get in and get going, yes, 100%. But the like you let him get one hit on you and that was kind of all I needed. Like, yeah, I definitely lost. But yeah, otherwise,
They weren't
yeah,
boss.
and same thing, like
They were
in fairness
terrible.
to the game, like the enemies themselves, you can kind of just like fly into, punch once, and they're down. But yeah,
No,
I,
it's not. I'm yawning because I'm
would it
sick of this game.
surprise you to know that the boss fights in this are generally about the same as the ones in Suicide Squad?
Someone not trying to play that game either. That's okay if I never knew that. Hey,
A
don't
shame.
worry. I own it for free now. So
Do you?
yeah, it was PlayStation Plus like the month after you bought it for $2.
No, it doesn't surprise me. I If you went in expecting like this game, you might not hate Suicide Squad.
I'm not going to be expecting this game though. Like the Suicide Squad doesn't have
No,
years of just
no.
notoriety. I think like
So
honestly, I think the only game worse notoriety in like video games is ET.
I agree.
I
Yeah, yeah,
struggle
yeah.
to think of something else as like badly talked about as this game.
I agree. Um, you could if you really are bored at
I'm
some point
not.
in your life, you
I'm
could
not.
play
I'm not.
Suicide Squad and have a fine time.
I'm.
But
I'm fine. I'll have. I know I could have a fine time, but I'm good.
it's the thing that sucks about Suicide Squad is just knowing the potential of what could have been. The core game itself, like, it's it's bad. It's not good. I don't know. That one disappointed me on a lot of different levels, even knowing everything I was getting into. Anyway, I don't know what else. Anything else good about this game?
Is there like? Is there any like notable sound?
Yeah, I wrote it down. I think. What does he say? Maybe I didn't write it down. There's the one quote he says every time he starts flying.
Oh, right.
There's no time. What is it? There's
I know. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Okay. There's that.
I think that's it. There's no time to waste.
Yep.
Then there's no time to waste. Then there's no time to waste. Then there's no time to waste. That's all I got. Like I don't remember much else.
One thing I will say about the rings, I actually did not hate the rings like that bad
No.
until they became the
I would
5 minute counters.
Yeah, that wasn't great. But even then I was happy to not be inside of a building or on the ground. Like here's my takeaway from the rings. I think what I might end up doing is reinstalling DC Universe Online and playing that just because the flight is fun in that game.
I was better at the rings than I thought I was going to be because I usually struggle
Same.
with that kind of ring stuff. And I know how
Yeah.
bad the controls are. And I know that everyone makes fun of that fucking open arm animation
Yeah, yeah.
that that he does. Um,
Pizza French fry, like yeah.
um, but but I did okay flying through the rings. And honestly, the time limit, you can mess up pretty severely on like 2 rings and still
Yeah.
make it through. And you get enough like leeway, a leash on missed rings. I think you get like 3 or 4 before it fails
It's
you.
you get a good I think it's 4. I think you're right. You
So
can
like
miss rings and
when
it's
everyone
okay.
when anyone says about the difficulty of the rings themselves, I think they're jumping the gun a little bit. I don't think
I
that's the
agree.
problem. I think the problem is you'll see so many rings that your eyes will begin bleeding green
Rings. Yeah.
because it's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
rings. The green ring that is in
There's
front of you.
they're not hateful. Like honestly, I I kind of like it. Like I will go back to this game just to fly through the rings.
I
I'm not
won't.
even exaggerating.
I'm,
I'll
I'm
do it
done.
like in the sense that like when I'm sitting down to play something on N64 and I look at this game, if I like don't have anything else to do, I might throw it on just to fly through rings. Which was surprising to me because I know that's the thing about this game everyone talks about. No one talks about the other stuff. They just talk about flying through
Only I
rings.
don't think, I think
How
people give up after the rings. They do event. They
I
can't
don't
get
blame them.
through event 1 probably. Realistically.
They don't even know about the later levels where the rings move.
Dude, I've never heard anyone talk about that parking garage. That parking garage is one of the
No.
worst fucking levels in all of video games.
Yeah, no one ever brings it up at
And
all.
I mean, I
They
didn't
don't.
get to the Stars lab or the Metro or the last level, the Starship, but there might be other candidates for one of the worst fucking levels I've ever played.
Parking garage is pretty bad. Yeah, it's a shame, but I'm glad we got to know for real uh, how this game really is. This is the point in the show, Matt, where we rank this thing on the list.
Do you have to?
Yeah, turns out we do. If you want to follow along with the list, of course you can just see it on the screen as you're watching. But if you want to check it out later just for fun or share it with a friend, thefreecheese.com/the list is where you want to go. Um, I've got my placement. How about you?
We might differ.
Oh, yeah, I'm intrigued.
We might differ.
All right,
Where
for me,
I'll let you go.
I've got it at 143, below Blinks the Time Sweeper and above Mortal Kombat
We
Mythology
have the same
Sub-Zero.
exact placement. I am also at the
All
new
right, very good.
143 between Blinks and Mortal Kombat Mythologies.
Yeah. Yep. Like I would you give it review wise? I know we don't normally do that on the podcast. We save that for the site, but I'm curious what your score
I
ended
need
up
to run
being.
the aggregate because I can't put it. Uh, hold on, give me a hot second here. Oh, I just realized I forgot to do something for you. That is a hot. I forgot 2 things to do for you. That's a hot. My bad.
Mine's easy,
Where is Superman at?
review wise. Oh, I didn't put it in there, Matt. I screwed up. I got to get that
Oh, here. I'll just
in the
use
sheet.
Deus Ex temporarily. Um,
Yeah.
uh, hold on.
I did straight twos all the way across because I just like I was like maybe it's no, it's not. It's not. Just
No, I had
I
variety in
felt
score. Unfortunately, I got it to a 2.1.
okay. So yeah, cumulatively we're at a 2.0 together.
Yeah, so
Guess that's how
looking.
math works.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I
yeah.
didn't. And what? So like, I know I don't want to get into full details, but like,
Okay.
I gave it a 1.5 for gameplay. I originally had it at a 2 before I forgot how much the game hitched, like making it borderline
Hmm.
unplayable.
I it that made it really really tough to
Yeah. So
like this game at all.
yeah, um, yeah. It's a game. It's available on your N64, and
Sure.
I don't recommend you waste your time with it.
No, I agree.
Not even for just believe what everyone said, unlike us.
Yeah, because like I not that I didn't, you know what I mean, but like
Yeah, no, yeah. Like I
I
get it.
I didn't I didn't know, man. I just didn't know. And now we do. Um we have a better game coming up next week.
We do.
Space Channel 5 is coming to the podcast. Um I'm looking forward to that one for the Sega Dreamcast. Um if you missed any of our previous episodes, we had a whole rundown around E3. We talked about the Switch 2 launch. We checked in with 2025 as a year just last week in our 50% podcast. And then we did our first look at Deus Ex. We talked about Geometry Wars, all of that this summer, and a whole lot more coming up, um, including a trip to Japan, virtually, that is, by way of Tokyo and Kyoto, respectively, or backwards. Heading to Wales, I believe. I think that's where Kudoka takes
I was gonna
place.
say I was trying to think which one, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
The little
I
bit I
think
know
that's
that it seems Wales could be it. Haven't
yeah.
started that one personally, but
That'll be here in August. It's all coming to the free cheese near you. Until next week, until Space Channel 5. Thank you, Matt. Thank you for hanging out with us. See you next time. Bye.